This is Micornus, Phokane, the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. We are dealing with ingredients of developing credibility as a church leader. We're speaking about ingredients of developing credibility as a church leader. And today I want to embark on clarity of direction. Now, clarity of direction becomes very key when it comes to the issue of developing credibility as well. Because without direction, nobody will trust you. Without direction, clarity, nobody would know where they are going. And as a result, then it becomes very difficult to follow a leader who is not clear in his own direction, a leader who is not able also to clear the direction for the people. And that's very key as a church leader, to forever be clear in the direction that you're taking, and also be able to clarify direction for many people that are following you. Unless they are close, I usually fly to the facilities where I train and consult with leaders and their ministry organizations. I always go to churches, and I always go to people that invite me to teach this. But I want to emphasize the fact that many times you'll realize that in different churches, in different places where people gather, people don't have direction in many times. And many churches that I've gone to, some of them would actually have a clarity of direction, some would not. And their members are being blamed actually of lack of submission generally. Their members are being blamed for not supporting the church sometimes and not participating. And generally, when you find members that are not participating, it could be because of lack of direction. Now, therefore, lack of direction becomes particularly very problematic. When people are not clear in direction, you cannot expect them to continue going. You cannot expect them to continue doing things, because they are not going to be knowing what to do when they are not sure of the direction that they need to take. Now, it's like a flight. If the flight is flying to a certain direction and the pilot is taking people to the certain direction that the people are not envisaging to go, the people will end up landing in a place where they never envisaged to be. And I want to emphasize that it's up to the pilot actually to bring up the clarity of direction. Very, very important. If we were to give a destination other than the one on your ticket in your aeroplane, you wouldn't get I wouldn't get on the plane, because I would actually not want to go to the place where I don't want to go. I want to give an example. If I was to go to England, for instance, and then you give me a ticket to Beijing, which is China, which is the wrong direction, of course, for me, and I'm not going to get into that plane, because if I'm going to get into that plane, I know I'm not going to the place that I want to go. What am I trying to say here is there are many pastors or church leaders that are giving people or their own followers a wrong ticket, or a ticket that's going to another destination rather than the destination that they envisage to go. Because remember that when people want to follow to a certain direction, they want to go there where they want to go, and they want to be clear of where they're going as well. And that's very, very important, that the ticket is in line with what the people expect. That's very, very important. And as a leader, clarify the direction. In times of vast uncertainty, in times of a lot of change, people who are serious about serving their Savior are looking for direction. And I must really say, in COVID times, COVID has taught us that in 2020, whereby we had church leaders that were confused on their own. And we had pastors that were already confused themselves. And the more confused you are, the more congregation becomes confused as well. Because that was the time of disaster, the time of confusion, the time of change as well, whereby people needed to know what is the direction. When people know what the direction is, then they become at ease to follow. They become comfortable in following. But now, when you find that people don't know the direction, they don't know how to go and how to follow, because people are looking for direction, not only in their lives, but also in the churches where they worship. Very, very important. Today, more than in the past, direction is even needed more. Why? Because we are having a lot of deception in the days that we're living in. In the past, Christianity was a bit more easier because it was clear. Everyone who says he's a Christian in the olden days used to be a Christian. Every church that called itself a church, it used to be a church, but not in these days. So therefore, clear direction and clear direction and actually clarity of that direction by you as a leader is going to be very important for your own members to know where they are going and how to follow. Very, very important. People want to know where their leaders, especially pastors, are taking them to. They want to know. And when they know, they become confident in walking the path with you because they want to follow where they know you are going is a safe place where you're going. People are tired, actually, of pastors who are directionless and boss that are wandering around and in ministry circles like Moses and the Israelites in the wilderness. I mean, people are tired of that today. And I want to tell you now that the most successful churches in this 21st century is those churches that are having leaders that are sober, leaders that are able to give clarity of direction, leaders that can lead by example, leaders of character, and leaders that are credible and say, we are going this way. The people don't want to just see wandering around like you are Moses and the Israelites in the wilderness. They want to see that you're clear yourself as a leader, and people then would follow a leader that is able to give direction. If people feel that their leaders are wasting their time, they will go elsewhere where they think that the leader is more direction, is more with direction and more understanding. And I must really say that at this point, you'll realize that also we're speaking about church hopping. Because church hopping is always seen as a bad thing from leadership perspective when we look at our members. We think that they like hopping from one church to another. We don't introspect and say, are we clear in our direction? Are people knowing where to go? Are the people deciding to hop out of our church just for fun? No. Generally, people hop out of our churches because we are directionless ourselves as leaders. So therefore, introspect first before you blame people from moving from one church to another. Very, very key, and I hope that is understandable as well. Leaders must know and clarify where they are going and where they are taking the people to, because if people don't know where you are taking them to, you must announce that they must know where you are taking them to. You must be clear yourself, they must be clear as well. It is the leader's job as well of the governing boards, which is now the leadership board, to think through the organization's direction, to define it, and to communicate it clearly and visibly, so that there is little questions amongst people as to where the church direction is. And I'm saying this now, directing it to the elders in the church, directing it to the church board or church committees. I'm emphasizing that as well. It's up to the leader, who is the pastor, to give direction to his own leadership board, to give direction to his own church committee. Because sometimes we think that the church committees are not participating well, they are not actually running the church well, they might not be clear themselves. So it is like having a government ministers that are not having good direction from the president. Now, the president should be clear in his own vision and direction to the ministers, for the minister to be able to articulate. And sometimes the confusion in the church comes from the confusion of the leadership, which is the church board or the church committee or the eldership board. It's because of the confusion at that level. When there's a confusion at that level, there'll be a confusion on the level of the church, because then you need, as a senior pastor, as a leader, to be able to give direction to your own people. When you are able to give direction to your own people and articulate the direction clearly, you're going to be able to assist the people actually down the line, because the leaders will be clear. Then the leaders will be able to articulate and infiltrate down to the people the vision, and people will be clear of the direction, and people will know what to follow and what to do. Very, very important that we are showing that and bringing that clearly to the people. When leaders do that, the confidence of the congregation is coming to the highest level, and they grow in confidence to trust their own leaders, to trust their board in the church, and it actually helps them actually to boost the confidence of the leadership as well. Very, very important, because the leadership becomes confident when they know that the people trust them. Very, very important as well that we look at that. And you find that as a result, the congregation's attributes competence to they attribute competence to their leaders as well, because the more the leader is competent, and then you find that the congregants becomes competent as well, and they attribute their confidence and their skills and development to their leader. They would actually always point at their leader and say, we have learned from the best. And that's very, very important. Now, the church discretion must be twofold. And I want to speak a little bit about this. That first, it consists of the church mission. One, what Christ has called it to accomplish, which is the church, and throughout the world as well. So it starts with a mission that God has called the church to in this community and throughout the whole world. Many churches don't understand what their mission is. They don't even understand what God called them to do. Even though the Bible clearly states that it is the Great Commission that is the most primary one, because that becomes the easiest one that we say. If a church want to find out what they're called for, the first thing is Great Commission. And that's found in the book of Matthew, chapter 28, verse 19 and 20. It speaks about go ye therefore. And that's very important. So every church has been given a go ye therefore. If you are given a go ye therefore, that's the basics of your calling. Very, very important that you go there. Mark chapter 16, verse 15 speaks about Great Commission. Luke chapter 24, verse 45 to 49, Great Commission. So that's the basic or the foundation of a church calling. So we start there before we know specifically the niche market that the church has been called into. And the church's responsibility is to see that Christ's Great Commission is finished or is fleshed out in its disciple-making strategy. Very, very important. Are we able to put up a strategy, disciple-making strategy? If a church doesn't do that, then you lack direction from the beginning. Now, in addition to the mission, the church's direction consists of its vision. Now, it's a vision as a mission, number one, I've said, which comes with the Great Commission, but also the vision becomes very important, because the vision then becomes what specific calling the church has. This particular congregation, this particular local church, this particular ministry is having. That's the vision that you have in the big scheme of things. Very, very important. I define a vision generally as a clear, challenging picture of the future of the church, as leaders believe that it can and must be. So it's what the Great Commission, as I said, is what the Great Commission looks like a ministry implements and accomplishes it. But then you'll see that out of that, then there will be a niche market that God specifically show you as a leader to say, this is where you need to concentrate on. The mission explains the church's direction to its people, whereas the vision paints a compelling picture of what that direction will look like. I hope this is understandable. Can I repeat that again? I said the mission explains the church's direction to its people, whereas the vision paints a compelling picture of what direction will look like. Very, very important for us to understand that, because when you are able to differentiate that, then it becomes more clearer for the people to follow. And that's very important. It communicates not what is, but what could be. Now, we talk about the vision. The vision is not talking about what is now. It's talking about what could be. And that inspires the people to want to do more. It inspires the people to push and want to become better. And that becomes very key, that we emphasize that the vision then becomes very, very important, that we know what could be like. It answers the question, what will it look like around here when our people become passionate and get excited about making and maturing believers? It gives you the picture of that, and it gives you a clear direction of that as well. My observation is that congregants follow leaders who work hard, who are clear in their direction, who are clarifying their ministry direction, who are telling people where they're going and what to doing. And the primary reason is that they view them as extremely credible people as well. And you find that the congregation view a leader like that as credible individual, as a credible leader, and they follow easily. I want to end up here today, your host, Micornus Phokane. I hope that you've learned quite a bit out of this. We continue with part 4 tomorrow of this ingredients of developing what we call credibility as a church leader. And we'll deal with part 4 tomorrow. And I hope you'll join us as we do that. But before I check out today, I want you to remember our Facebook page, Micornus Phokane, our Facebook page, Church Governance Solutions. So please follow us on those Facebook pages. Click notification buttons as well. Remember also that you need to follow us on our YouTube channel. Please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us there. And there are a lot of materials that were posted in the past there. And I believe that God will help you as you follow us on our YouTube channel. Allow me to check out right here and say cheers for now.